Thank you, Andy. And thank all of you. You got the voice of God request that you squish in, which is pretty amazing if you take a look at the size of this room. 18 months ago, 500 hardy souls showed up for this event. I understand from the organizers that 2,000 of us are here today. I think this Spark thing has legs, and I think we should immortalize it. If you guys will please say, oh, hang on. Everybody say hello to the internet. All right, watch for that on Twitter. It'll come out in a moment. I'm very pleased to be here to talk about the role of Apache Spark in the Apache Hadoop ecosystem. It's something we care deeply about at Cloudera. I was on stage at the Hadoop Summit, Strata plus Hadoop World Summit, Strata plus Hadoop World Conference, rather, in New York City in 2013, October, when we announced a major embrace of Spark by Cloudera. In the early days of the Hadoop ecosystem, the knock on the system was that MapReduce wasn't a good general purpose processing framework for every workload. And that was a perfectly legitimate criticism. It turned out MapReduce was powerful and transformative. It really did create the big data industry that we see today, but it wasn't designed for every single workload. What many of the critics failed to realize is that there's nothing inherent in big data that means MapReduce is your only approach. When you gang together a whole bunch of servers, you get a lot of storage, and you get a lot of processors, and you actually have some choice as to the computational and analytic framework you're going to run. Over the course of the past 10 or so years, the Hadoop ecosystem's gotten much more interesting. It's no longer just HDFS and MapReduce. These days, there's a wide range of analytic processing data management frameworks that run on that same data deployed in a secure, manageable way with the governance and regulatory assurances that enterprises require. That multi-framework architecture, the ability to bring not just MapReduce, but Impala and Search and machine learning engines and Apache Spark to the same data repository means that we can deliver much more value from that data. We can choose to run discovery and data processing and modeling and serving workloads as the business requires. And we don't need to pick the data up and move it in order to do that. Our bet on Spark was that it was going to be an absolutely crucial part of that platform. Indeed, we've seen that play out in our customer base. And I'll talk in a little bit about some of the use cases that we see running, but I want to highlight the architecture. There is one big shared storage repository. You can drop any kind of data you like into a big data cluster. You can decide later what the semantics are. You've got cost-effective storage, so you don't have to aggregate or summarize. You're allowed to store the full fidelity data. These days, we've got resource management, Yarn, the open source project for scheduling and managing memory and CPU and so on, so that you can run multi-tenant workloads. Now, MapReduce is still a very big part of our installed base. An enormous number of deployed workloads run in MapReduce. And of course, there are SQL queries and search workloads that need to run as well. Increasingly, though, we're seeing adoption of Apache Spark in this context. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that most new workloads we see deployed today aren't MapReduce workloads. Spark is growing very, very quickly. Now, MapReduce is still the predominant number of cycles that run on any given day against big data, and that's on the back of like 10 or 12 years worth of deployment. But the pace of growth of Spark has been breathtaking. What that means is that before very long, we expect that it will be the dominant general purpose processing framework. Yeah, there will be special purpose engines, Impala for SQL and Solar for search and so on. But if you want a good general purpose engine, in general these days, you're choosing Apache Spark and not Apache MapReduce. In that context, we're working with the community to move more of the tooling and language support that the community depends on from MapReduce to Spark. And we announced at Spark Summit last year that we were working with Intel and MapR and IBM and others to port Pig and Hive and some of the other legacy data management tools from MapReduce to Spark. In fact, you can go download that stuff today. The community's done a fantastic job of building that out. This will drive further adoption of Spark. Legacy workloads that want to talk to those higher level frameworks can do so very easily. We see all sorts of use cases. Now, I can't name every single customer that we've got, but I can talk in general about the workloads that they're running. Financial services has a huge appetite for real-time, continuous analytics over data. We've got a major bank, a global financial institution that is ingesting all sorts of market data on a continuing basis, continually refining its trading strategy, updating its model on the basis of the very latest activity in the market and the fluctuating value in the equity and derivative holdings that the bank's got, changing that trading strategy and deploying it in real time. It's no longer every single night we're going to revise our strategy. The banks are now able to do this on a continual basis, and that's absolutely crucial when the market moves as quickly as it does. A major consumer brand, you all know them very, very well, pays attention to what users are doing on their systems, on their mobile devices and on the website and elsewhere, in order to optimize the experience. And in the same way as trading would like to know instantly what's happening, if you're engaging with consumers, it's increasingly important to do that instantly. You want to know what people are doing across your installed base. You want to watch new activity trending. You want to respond very quickly. You want to deliver the very best content, the very best engagement that you can. That is possible in Spark in a way that it wasn't possible with older systems like MapReduce. The insurance industry, Allstate in particular, is a big consumer of Apache Spark, and I had a chance to sit down with some of the executives at Allstate just yesterday. Enormous amounts of data. 50 states, each with very complex regulations and very large customer bases. Historically, it was possible only to digest, to summarize, to sample the data, to try to make pricing and risk decisions on 1% of the total available data. By the way, that was only the transactional and claims data. It wasn't a whole bunch of consumer information. It wasn't possible to look at all of the policies, home and auto and life, that a particular client held. That is now possible because analytics run much faster and they can ingest all sorts of data from all sorts of sources. And then finally, the medical sector is going to be absolutely transformed by big data. Advanced analytic frameworks make a difference. Now, you know, I gave you good and meaningful examples before. It really does matter that your experience of using your smartphone is wonderful, and you actually do care that the financial markets operate efficiently. But healthcare is personal to each of us, and we each would love the very best possible care, tuned exactly to who we are, delivered at the lowest possible cost. We want great outcomes at manageable cost. No matter how you feel about the debate over healthcare reform, for example, you know that this is a very big problem for us as a society. Mount Sinai Medical School is one among many institutions using Spark to ingest and analyze genomic data, population data, literature about the onset and progression of disease, and very complex laboratory and patient medical record information to create a picture of the patient and of the disease that allows doctors to deliver better care and better outcomes more cheaply. This is an enormous big data problem. The volume of data available in genomics is absolutely exploding. Spark is an absolutely crucial piece of the big data ecosystem, of the Apache Hadoop ecosystem. There's a meme in the industry right now that Hadoop is somehow dead. I don't believe that. I believe that what we define as Hadoop has expanded dramatically in recent years. Didn't used to be resource management, didn't used to be security or data governance, didn't used to be SQL or search or the rest, didn't used to be Spark. These frameworks allow us to attack data in very valuable, very important ways. I am thrilled to see the progress of Spark in the ecosystem. Cloudera is very pleased to be as involved in Spark generally and with Databricks as we are. Thank you all very much.